We gotta clean up the penalties. We gotta clean up some of the execution, and that is an ongoing thing that probably never ends. There's, you search for that Shangri-La.
That's one thing I respect about Sean Payton. Every time that he talks, like you can hear you know that there's arrogance that he wants to exude because that's how he operates. Look, don't get me wrong. I'm so happy that Sean Payton's the head coach of the Broncos, and I don't doubt that he's a great coach. He is, but he is arrogant, and right now his offense is a pile of crap. I mean, that's true. Great coach, yes. Arrogant, yes. Bad offense, yes. Like, it needs to get better. But here's what I love about the NFL. Unlike college football where people try to bring in, well, they only had game control. They start talking about it's like a beauty contest. You win a game, you win a tough game. The Ducks won a tough game at home against Wisconsin, but it's not good enough because they didn't do it pretty enough. I hate that. In the NFL, it's like scoreboard. Yeah, the Broncos did look bad, but they won the game. They've won 7 straight, which is really hard to do in the NFL, so you move on. That's why the NFL is great. Because at the end of the year, no one gives a flying rip how hideous you were in a game if you won. Because all W's count the same. And I also think it's funny, too, that, as football fans, like if our team wins a game 45-42, oh, that was a sweet game, great win. But the defense had 500 yards of total offense they gave up, and they gave up 42 points. Yeah, but it was great. It's just funny how we frame things based on offense versus defense. But anyways, here's Sean Payton with the bottom line. The Broncos are 8-2.
Right now, we're a team sitting at 8 wins. I think we're the only team sitting there. So, and yet we're constantly looking internally and starting. But it was a tough night offensively, obviously, and I give them credit. They did some things differently that we hadn't seen, and you start looking at your call sheet with your sub plan, and so we'll look at that tape and we'll learn from it. We always will.
Yeah, you got to love the coach giving the Raiders credit. Their defense sucks, all right? The Raiders are not a good football team. Their defense is not a good defense. They're just not. The numbers prove that out. One of the worst defenses in the NFL. And yet the Broncos, because their offense is so inept right now, they made the Raiders defense look like a top 5 unit. That's problematic. Now, my concern when the year began over the first, quarter of the season or whatever, I thought that maybe Sean Payton, because he's so creative in his mind with his offense, that it was too confusing for his team. Young quarterback in his second year, young wide receivers, you got a young unit out there. Why not simplify things? Sean's real big on, personnel packages and having different guys on the field all the time. My thought is, if you got a young quarterback and they're confused a little bit, why not simplify things by putting your best players on the field? Everyone knows what the personnel is going to be, and they can develop some chemistry before you start to branch out and mix it up all the time. But, what do I know? So, anyways, I thought that maybe that was the issue. But the problem is, the more I watch Bo Nix, he might be the problem. I mean, Bo Nix right now statistically is one of the worst quarterbacks in all of football. And last night, not good. Third downs were bad. Bo Nix was inaccurate. Bo Nix threw 2 interceptions, and he had 150 yards passing. The weird part is with Bo, based on where his numbers are at, being one of the worst passers in the league this year, if you were on a team that did not have a phenomenal defense and was not 8-2, there would probably be talks about benching the quarterback, right? And look, I love Bo, and I want Bo to work. I want him to be successful. But the problem is he's not getting the job done right now. And what's really unfortunate is that the Broncos' defense is good enough to take them as far as they want to go. I don't even need the Broncos to be like the 94 49ers with Steve Young and Jerry Rice, or the 99 Rams with Kurt Warner and Marshall Faulk and Torrey Holt. I don't need that. They just need to be like a decent unit that can move the football and be somewhat competent out there. I don't think that's too much to ask, but Bo Nix ain't cutting it right now. So it could be, too, that there's just a disconnect with a quarterback in year number 2 between coach and quarterback in terms of the offense and getting comfortable. What concerns me would be the footwork, and we saw that when he missed Evan Ingram in the end zone, where he was just out of sorts with the feet. It kind of reminds me of when I'm dancing. If you ever saw me attempt to dance anywhere, you would know that I'm uncomfortable and my feet don't know what they're doing. And I felt like Bo Nix was me out there last night trying to put on his best moves and cut up a rug. And the problem is his feet were all out of sorts. That's a problem. And it got so bad last night with the offense being an embarrassment that Bo Nix and the offense was getting booed. Sean Payton was getting booed. And after the game, Bo Nix is like, well, I've been booed before. Not going to be the last time.
What did you think about some of their reaction, the boos and that kind of thing?
Well, I've been booed before and I'll be booed again, so not going to be the last time. It's obviously unfortunate. You don't want your own fans booing you, but, it's part of it.
I love that. Yeah, it's unfortunate. You don't want your own fans booing you, but it's part of it. See, that's the perfect response. He understands. He knows they're not good enough right now, and he understands the fans' frustration. He's frustrated too. So is Sean Payton. This offense has got to be better. This team is in a prime position, and they've got the biggest game coming up a week from Sunday that they've had in 10 years as a franchise. Kansas City's coming to town, and you've got a chance to bury them and be 3 games up on them in the loss column. You know what that means? It means that the Chiefs can kiss the division goodbye. So the Broncos are doing like the world a favor if they're able to get that win. But the problem is they can't do it with the offense, playing like it did last night. And Bo Nix has shown flashes of what he's capable of, but right now he is out of sorts. And he even talked about it after the game. I got to get better. We have to get better. No doubt.
Got to do better. At some point, 10 points ain't going to be enough. We got to score more. We just have a tough and resilient football team. We find ways to win. Usually right now it's the defense leading the charge. They just continue to get us the ball back. A bunch of sacks tonight, a few that were in field goal range that knocked them out. And you'll win a lot of games with the defense playing like that. And then tonight we had a little spark with some special teams plays. And then, we just, at some point, we got to start moving the football and scoring points.
Well, he's right. They got to be better. They're not good enough right now, and they've got to, start putting together some sustained drives. Sean Payton's got to get on the same page with his quarterback, and they got to step their game up. I mean, look, Broncos, I understand this is difficult for you, all right? But can you please somehow figure this out? The Denver Broncos right now, first team to 8 wins. They share the best record in the NFL with 2 losses, and they're right there where they want to be. Everything that they want is right there in front of them. So please do not screw this up, all right? You're sitting there atop the division at 8-2. The LA Chargers are behind them at 6-3. And the Chargers got a tough game coming up this weekend at home against the Steelers. I'll be pulling for Pittsburgh. It would be great to see the Chargers drop to 4 losses. But Kansas City right now, gripping at 5-4. They are 5-4. They're just 1-3 away from home. And the Broncos are going to host them a week from Sunday. Chiefs are going to be coming off a bye. And then the Broncos will get the de facto bye coming off a Thursday night game. So both teams will be rested and ready to roll. And then after the Kansas City game, Denver will go into the bye week. And look, I know everyone's like, oh, yeah, Andy Reid off a bye. Andy Reid off a bye. Yeah. I know he's good off a bye. But he had a bye before the Super Bowl, too, didn't he? Extra prep time for the Eagles, and they still got their ass kicked. So I don't want to hear about Andy Reid off the bye. The Broncos right now have got a great position to be able to put a stranglehold on the AFC West, and you don't want to screw it up. But they're going to screw it up if Bo Nix continues to go out there playing like God knows who, and they put up 150 yards passing, and they have more freaking penalties than they do first downs. Oh, by the way, too, I love this stat. Didn't know it until last night, but not a surprise. Do you want to take a guess at who leads the NFL in punts? After last night, a total of 53 on the year. That would be your Denver Broncos. Or should I say my Denver Broncos. 53 punts. Do you want to know who comes in second and third behind Denver? Well, they're not exactly good teams. I believe it's Cleveland and Tennessee, 2 of the worst teams in football. And yet the Broncos have more punts than they do, and they're sitting there at 8-2. I'm not exactly like a genius or a math wizard, but that's not good. They lead the NFL in punts. It was like a 3-and-out bonanza last night. The Broncos, my dad texts me. He's in freaking Georgia right now. He texts me. He's like, Denver did not get a first down until 25 minutes into the game. I was like, yeah, that's correct. That's bad. I do think the win played a factor, but let's be real. Their offense right now ain't working. They've had a good quarter against the Giants. They had a complete game against Dallas. And then they had a good fourth quarter against Philadelphia. But for the most part, the offense, no matter which game you look at, I can, basically pick it apart as, not holding up their end of the bargain. The Titans game, brutal. At the Colts, mistakes, and they got screwed by the refs on that leverage call. The offense took too long to get going against the Chargers. Plus, they settled for too many field goals, lose it on a field goal at the buzzer. They had a complete game against the Bengals, 28-3. They played one good quarter against the Eagles, played 4 bad quarters against the Jets, and somehow won the game. Had a fourth quarter against the Giants in that ridiculous comeback. Complete game against Dallas. 1 quarter of good football against the Texans, and last night, no good quarters and survived against the Raiders. And by the way, how bad are the Raiders, too, at 2-7? Unwatchable football. That game last night set the NFL back by about, I'm going to guess, 60 years or longer. It was horrific football. I don't need that. You don't need that. We don't need that. So come on, man. Denver, rally. Sean Payton, you genius. I want to hear from Sean Payton. Fix the offense. Can you get a first down? And guess who's going to be on the call for the Chief-Bronco game a week from Sunday? Well, gee, I don't know, Jim. Tony, why are the Broncos sucking on offense? Well, gee, I don't know, Jim. Jim, I don't know. Tony Romo is going to be on the call, so I'm going to have to not only survive the offense not scoring and not getting first downs and having more penalties than first downs, but I've got to listen to Tony Romo for 4 hours in that torture. Gee, I don't know, Jim. Tony Romo all cracked out of his mind talking over the top of one of our national treasures, Mr. Jim Nantz. I do not understand the love affair there, but yeah, I'm going to have to mentally prepare for that. So I'm glad I've got a mini bye this week. Bo Nix, and we'll talk to Bino about Bo Nix. The Bover throw, you name it, whatever. Just play better. He knows it, or he's going to get booed more too. But he's prepared for that because he's been booed before. Yeah, well, whatever. Broncos are 8-2, but it doesn't feel like 8-2. But I'm not going to complain because this is the best team, best opportunity they've had in 10 years since Peyton Manning. Gee, I don't know, Jim. I can't figure it out. The Broncos, they just can't run the ball. And Sean Payton is, he doesn't want to run the ball either. And then I look at Bo Nix. He's overthrowing the ball. And sometimes he turns it over. And, Jim, I don't know. Tony Romo. All right, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. I appreciate your time. Great to be with you. When we come back, day 2 of the Cascade High School from Turner, Oregon, takeover of the Rip City Drive. And it's all right here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Portland kicks out the 5-game road trip tomorrow in Miami against the Heat. Tip at 5. I will have Blazer game day at 3, and I'm on the 5th quarter tomorrow with Chris Burkhardt out. All right, Rip City Drive. Oh, by the way, the government shutdown starting to bother me now because it's going to have an impact on me, possibly. I saw where Southwest canceled like 21 flights in and out of Vegas today. I was talking to my boy Steve. We got a couple of football trips planned coming up, little weekend getaways coming up here in the next couple of weeks. And this could be a problem, getting in and getting out based on the flights and what's going to be available and what's not. But frankly, if they're not going to have enough air traffic controllers or pilots that aren't half asleep when they're flying, then so be it. As you know, one of my great fears is dying in a plane crash. I can't choose the way that I go, but that's definitely one way I don't want to go. Goodness gracious. So madness, chaos. And, of course, it has to happen right around the holiday season when people are looking to get out. So, like usual, nothing but a complete mess. Well, big shout-out to Cascade High School in Turner, Oregon. Justin Lauder is a teacher and a good friend, and he's got a media class that he has put together and been teaching now for a few years. It's a great class, and I wish I would have had something like that in high school when I was a kid. I didn't have access to that kind of stuff. I had a shop class, but the problem is the guy wanted to stranglehold me because we wanted to, burn holes through the metal wall with the welders. They let us weld with an open flame, if you can believe that. Or kids trying to take off their knuckles on the wood lathe. But no radio class, nothing like that. No communications class. We didn't have podcasting, no internet, no fun. But they've got this class, and so I've basically worked with them in the last few years to where the kids have a chance to do something on air. And I call it the Cascade High School. The Cougars, home of the Cougs, they take over the Rip City Drive. And the kids, we broke them up into multiple groups of 3 or 4. They get to pick the topic, and then they put it together. And they rehearsed, they practiced, they did everything. And so this is good on-air experience for them. And again, I'm here to help people. So whenever I can give back to the community or help the children, I'm going to do so. But I do like it. I think it's a great class, and the kids have fun with it. And, you could tell they're a little bit nervous, but they came and brought their game and brought their stuff, and they got it done. So this is day 2, and the first group that you're going to hear from, Kinsey, Madison, and Jacqueline, a trio of female students from Cascade High School. And I love it because they get to choose their topics. So some go sports, some go NFL, some go high school, some go video games. But in this case, they went Taco Bell. So they're after my daughter's own heart. And, of course, I love Taco Bell because that was the place we'd hit on Highway 99 in Hazeldale back in the day when I was in high school because they had the 59, 79, and 99-cent menu. $5 and you're eating like a king. Not so much these days, right? Just like everything else, Taco Bell prices have gone up, but it's still great for the late-night munchies or whatever type of situation you got going on. But they decided to break it down. So let's take a listen to group number 1 with Kinsey, Madison, and Jacqueline breaking down Taco Bell.
Hi, I'm your host, Madison, and I'm here with my co-hosts,
Kenzie
and Jaslyn.
And today we're going to talk about Taco Bell, specifically nacho fries first. So they always take away nacho fries, and it upsets a lot of people. How do you guys feel about this?
It makes me really upset because nacho fries are definitely one of my favorite things on the menu. They do take them away for a couple reasons, though, so I'm going to go over a few of those reasons. So the first reason they take away nacho fries is because they have limited storage space, and the big bags of fries take up a lot of room. And they're really difficult to handle and maintain. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Jaslyn now.
Okay, so nacho fries, they're a limited time offer that cycles on and off the menu. They're a very popular item, like Kenny said, and has been brought back to the menu multiple times. And fans can check out the Taco Bell app or website for its current availability.
So would you guys say that it brings more business once the nacho fries come back?
Definitely. When the nacho fries come back, everyone was so excited because they just recently came back. And, I know so many people that went the day they came back. So I think they just do it to get more customers is another reason I think they do it.
I think that they do it to create excitement and high demand when they leave and then come back because people really love nacho fries and it brings attention to Taco Bell. So I think that's why they do it. Also to maintain customer interest and manage their sales. Like Kenny said, they have limited storage for the nacho fries.
Yeah, I agree. It really brings excitement when the new nacho fries come back, and I'm always checking to see if nacho fries are back. So what do you say, Kenny?
Taco Bell recently like said on their like website that nacho fries will never be permanent. So I'm kind of sad about that, but it is just to get more business, which I think is kind of bad, but also good.
Yeah, so I think that a lot of people love nacho fries, and that's exactly why Taco Bell will never have them be a permanent item on their menu, just because like them leaving and then coming back, it creates excitement for people who do like nacho fries. So yeah. Madison?
Yeah, I agree. And I honestly think like if they were to keep them on the menu all year round and like forever, they wouldn't be as popular because when you have something, like you don't want it as bad as when you don't. So I think that's definitely a factor.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, yeah, I agree with that. Kenny,
Okay.
you got anything to say?
I also agree.
Okay.
Try our new Hot Cheetos burrito, limited time offer.
Okay, so now we're going to be talking about prices and accessibility because Taco Bell is very accessible. On average, there are about 160 Taco Bells in each state. So what do you have to say about that?
Something I really like about Taco Bell is that there's lots of them, like Madison said, and it's very cheap. The prices do vary, like, where you're at. So, like, if you're in Salem or Staten, like, it's cheaper than if you're in Woodburn or, like, Newburgh. And that's just, I don't really know why, honestly, but, it is pretty cheap everywhere you go, though. So, yeah, what do you have to say about this, Jocelyn?
Okay, so one of my favorite things to get from Taco Bell is the $5 box. It comes with a burrito, taco, chips and cheese, and a medium drink, which is a great deal. And that's only for $5. And it's a great deal because a burrito by itself is like originally like around $5, give or take a few cents. So you get a burrito that's originally $5 plus a bunch of other stuff, and it usually fills me up pretty fast. So I think that that's good. And also the Taco Bells in Salem, Oregon and Staten, Oregon are very accessible and close. So, Madison?
Yeah, and I feel like at Taco Bell they have really good customer service and you never have to wait a long time to get your food at Taco Bell. So that's a plus.
I agree, because in Salem there are like 6 Taco Bells, which is like I think a perfect amount because there are many locations for like people to spread out, and they're never like usually super busy like Madison was saying. Now, Kenny?
Yeah, also, the workers at, like, all the Taco Bells I've been to, at least in Staten and, like, Salem, they're really nice workers, so I do appreciate that. Madison?
Yeah, another thing about like the prices, you can upgrade like your meals for not very much. Like if you wanted a large drink, it costs you only about 10 cents to upgrade it to a large drink. So that's really good because 10 cents, that's just one dime. Like a lot of people can do that.
I think that at Taco Bell the food is very like good quality for being so cheap, and like all of the stuff there is great pricing, and there's a lot of deals that you can do. So yeah, like again, like the $5 box with the burrito and taco and chips and cheese. So
And with like the $5 box, there's also a bunch of different like varieties of those boxes that like come with more stuff and different items. So
like $7 box, $9 box, and like the more you go up in value, like the more stuff you get in your box.
And,
Yeah.
like, the more expensive the things in your box are.
and
like,
it still stays affordable.
yeah, like, the $9 box right now has the new grilled cheese burrito in it and, like, 3 other things for only $9. And the grilled cheese burrito alone, $7. So you might as well just get the box. Plus, it comes with a drink.
Yeah, and a drink is around like $3, so it just cuts down your cost way much.
Yeah.
Okay, so something that goes along with prices and accessibility is why we love it so much, so that's what we're going to talk about.
Okay, so the first reason I love it so much is because it's a really good hangout spot to, like, hang out with your friends and stuff. And, like, if you had, like, a long day at school and you and your friends just want to hang out, like, Taco Bell's just around the road at Staten, and you can just go there and eat some yummy food. Another reason I love it so much, again, is because it's cheap. I order on the app because I think it's cheaper and I get more food. So I get the Build Your Own Cravings box. It's only $5.99, and I get Crunchwrap Supreme, with no tomato, no sour cream. Cheese and rice burrito with no jalapeno sauce. Cheesy Fiesta potatoes with no sour cream and a large Baja Blast. And that's only $5.99, which is an amazing deal.
Okay, and why I love Taco Bell is for these reasons. So there are great prices, like we mentioned in our segment, prices and accessibility. It's very accessible for young kids, and the prices where we live are very reasonable and good for kids who don't have jobs.
Yeah, honestly, one of my favorite parts about Taco Bell is all their drinks, because they have like their own drink, which is Baja Blast, but you can also get like a bunch of different freezes, and like they have all kinds of soda.
Also, with the Baja Blast, like she said, they're even like coming out with different flavors of Baja Blast. So,
Yeah,
like
the
their
midnight one, yeah.
So yeah, like I think that's really cool.
Yeah, me too.
So again, like I said, in prices and accessibility, a reason why I love it is the food is so good quality, and it's also super cheap for like a large amount of food. And Taco Bell is very quick to get your food, especially when you go through like the drive-through and use the Taco Bell app, like Kenny mentioned. So Madison, you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, and Taco Bell, it is always fresh and hot, so that's really good, because at other fast food places, it's not hot.
Also, another really good thing about Taco Bell, I just thought of this. Leftovers, like most of the stuff you can like reheat like the next day, because like it comes with a lot of food. So like most of the stuff you can reheat and eat for lunch the next day. So I think that's really cool.
Okay, that's all we have time for. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.
All right, nice job by the girls there. I like the breakdown. The only thing I would add into that, based on my own personal experience and being in high school at one point, Taco Bell is probably not the best choice of food that you can consume before a date. I'm not going to explain why. You can put two and two together, but I'm just saying that pre-date food, you probably want to avoid the Taco Bell for obvious reasons, but definitely a great late-night munchy type of a place to hit for sure. All right, group number 2 from Cascade High School, home of the Cougars, Xavier, Teak, and Gavin, and they chose the OSA football playoffs. They wanted to talk a little playoffs. Cascade's got one of the best football teams in the state, and so they're going to break it down for you. So let's take a listen to group number 2, Xavier, Teak, and Gavin.
Welcome to our segment of the podcast. I'm your host, Gavin Bloomfield, with my co-hosts Xavier Martinez and Teak Shaw, and today we're going to be talking about the 4A OSA playoffs, our Cascade football team stats. But first, we're going to talk about our regular season. Cascade had a 9-0 regular season, went undefeated, a perfect season. I'm going to see what Teak Shaw has to say about the 9-0 record.
Yeah, the Cougars did very well this year. They started off the year in Baker. Big trip for them, 5 hours, 6 hours. They made short work of the Bulldogs, 36-6. Then in the next week, they played Redmond, which is a 5A team, and they did what Cascade does, 39-9. And their first real test of the year was Scappoose, who I believe right now is ranked 4th in the state, 8-1. They had a little bit of shootout until the very end, where Cascade bested them 59-37, and I'm going to pass it to Xavier for the next 3 games.
The next 3 games went into Tillamook, which was a decently long drive going out there, and Cascade took over and going 35-7 against them. And then the next week after that, Malala came to Cascade, and it was just a blowout, 53-0. Malala didn't put up much of a fight compared to the Cougars. And then we went to Woodburn for our next week and kind of played really aggressively in the beginning and just took over and held it strong for the rest of the game.
That Woodburn game was a great game. They definitely handled the weather well. I think the weather didn't affect them much. But then LeGrand came for the homecoming game, took care of business. Not much of a fight there. Then Staten rivalry week. Staten come down to us. Cascade did not play the best at the beginning of the game. Couple turnovers, not good plays. But Cascade ended up winning by 30. So we went to Estacada, about an hour drive, took care of business on the turf, the rainy game. Again, we showed that the weather did not bother us. But I want to specifically talk about that Scappoose game. When Scappoose, top ranked, and they came in, it was definitely a lot of teams thought Scappoose was going to win. But I think that was the changing moment that really showed why we are ranked number 1 in the state. What do you have to say about that game specifically and how it turned us to be ranked number 1.
On like Max Preps, we were number 1 and they were number 2, and then on OSA they were number 1 and we were number 2. They came in, they were talking about how Scappoose has this big quarterback and he's really good, and they didn't really like talk about us that much. Like, of course, Bryce Kenzie's always the star of the show, but they didn't really mention him from what I saw, and he really like had a great game. I think he had over 200 yards that game. And he just had a great game. Cascade actually was down 14-0 to start the game. And quick, I believe, Scappoose came out, they scored, and then there was a fumble on our kick return. They scored, I think, on 2 plays. Cascade didn't shut down, though. They kept going. They ended up winning by over 20 points, 22 to be exact. Next, we're going to talk about the stats for our regular season.
First, we're going to start off with this receiving game. Josiah Hawkins, 21 receptions, 449 yards, 21.3 average, and 9 touchdowns. I think he's really been a deep ball threat. The reverses, the screens really work well for him. He fits into our system well. I think it's going to be a big playoff year for him. And I think the next year, he's only a junior, so that's going to be great. And Jay Erickson, 6 receptions, 72 yards, 12 average, and 1 touchdown. He's been a great blocker. I think he's really been able to seal the edge for Bryce Kenzie to get going, Matthew Hinkle to get going. He's showing why Josiah and Jay were first-team All-League. Then you have Matthew Hinkle, the fullback, setting up this run game, 41 carries, 455 yards, 11.1 yards per carry, 9 touchdowns. He's really been your third down fullback, your goal line back. He can run through somebody's face, but he can hit the edge on some of these little screen plays. I think it's going to be a great playoff year for them, where they're going to show why they're some of the best players in the district.
And now I'm going to talk about the quarterback, Cade Corson. 49 for 61, 80%, very efficient. 940 yards, 16 touchdowns, only 1 interception. That's a great touchdown-interception ratio. And then I'm going to talk about our stud, Bryce Kenzie, 130 carries, 1,500 yards almost, 11.4 yards per carry, 21 touchdowns. I believe his rushing yards is currently 3rd in all divisions of OSA. For sure, number 1 in 4A. And then I'm going to talk about Anderson Craig, a freshman kicker. He went 12 for 15, 80% on PATs. I believe all 3 of those were blocked kicks. Yep. And I'm going to pass it to Xavier for the next 2.
I'm going to be talking about Jamison Walsh. He has 4 receptions, 86 receiving yards, and 21.5 yards per reception. And he has 2 touchdowns. It's just looking like a great year for him. Only 4 receptions, but he's gone 2 for 4, which is about 50% per reception. And that's a good thing to have right there. And then we have LJ Neerman going for 6 for 6 for PATs.
And next we're going to talk about the Cascade playoff and how the rest of the Oregon 4A did.
Yeah, I mean, this playoff's gonna be a great playoff. I mean, you saw Cascade beat five of the playoff teams. I mean, but you saw some teams that Cascade hasn't seen yet. Henley, Marist, Marshfield, especially after last year's Henley game. I think Cascade, if we go there, we're gonna have a chip on our shoulder and we're gonna really have to take care of business. But our first game is gonna be Pendleton. We've been practicing at SIO. We're going to see how we can do on technically our home field. I'm passed over to Teak. See what you say about that.
Cascade plays number 16 Pendleton tonight. They're 2-7. We're 9-0. They really snuck into the playoff. I think it's going to be a great game. On the other side, who Cascade could play next week, our rivals Staten play a number 8 Junction City. Staten's number 9. Staten's 7-2. Junction City's they're 6-3. And I think that's going to be one of the better games of this first round of the playoffs. On the other side, North Bend plays Tillamook. Tillamook, I believe, lost to us and Scappoose only. They had a pretty good year. North Bend, I haven't seen much of them. I think that's going to be a great game. Baker Scappoose. Baker had a little bit of a down year from last year, but Scappoose has really been taking care of business this year, and I think that's going to be a great game for Scappoose. Over to Xavier.
I'm going to talk about the Seaside and Henley game. Seaside ranked 14 with their record being 4-5. They're having a decent year, nothing too crazy. It's kind of a still 4-5, a mid-playoff year for them. And then number 3, Henley, 6-2. They're playing really good this season. And then we have Marist and Estacada, number 11 at Marist, with their record being 4-5. Estacada being 6-3. Estacada losing to us in the past week on Halloween. Good game. I mean, we kind of picked up on that. I'm going to pass it over to Gavin.
You can see the way this bracket is set up. Cascade has a pretty easy walk to it, but you have Sweet Home and LeGrand, and then you have Crescent Valley and Marshfield playing 15 versus 2. I think Crescent Valley and Marshfield, that's going to be a game to watch, see what Marshfield can do, especially because they haven't been on the map really this year. A lot of teams, we haven't been hearing about them, but they've been playing really good, only one loss. But like I said, looking at this bracket, I think Cascade has a pretty easy way, if it goes how we want to get to that championship game. You're going to have to go through Staten. If they win, that's going to be one of the harder games, I think, because they're going to be preparing Bryce Kinsey. Yeah, the way this bracket is set up, I think Cascade could have a very good shot of taking this to the championship. And that was our segment of this podcast. Thank you for listening. Have a good night.
All right, there you go. Group 1 and Group 2 from the Cascade High School takeover of the Rip City Drive. And we'll have more. We have 2 more groups that I want to share with you coming up next hour. And don't forget, Brian No, Fox Sports Radio, is going to join me for the majority of the final hour. A lot of different football games I want to talk with him about. We'll obviously touch on that hideous Thursday night football game, get his take on Bo Nix, and see what he thinks about the Broncos' offense, their defense, and where they're at in the AFC playoff chase. But some good teams right now. Surprise, of course, in Indianapolis with the Colts being at 7-2. Both the Bills and Patriots with 2 losses, and, of course, the Broncos. So you have 4 teams in the AFC at the top sharing 2 losses. Broncos, Patriots, Bills, and the Colts, who are coming off that loss against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So it's going to be fun to see how things continue to shake out. But I'm enjoying it. But I want the Broncos offense to pick it up because I want them to beat the Chiefs. It's like, come on, man. Let's step your game up, boys. Step it up. All right, we'll keep things rolling. Rip City Drive, Brian No coming up in hour 3, and he'll spend most of the hour with me. We have more of the Cascade High School takeover of the Rip City Drive. Hope you're enjoying your Friday. You got your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Well, I can't wait to see how the Trailblazers perform on this upcoming road trip. I was looking at the schedule. So tomorrow they're in Miami to play the Heat. So that's going to be pretty sweet. Then they will travel to Orlando to meet the Magic. They've struggled a bit out of the gate to start the season. That is a Saturday, Monday deal in Florida with Miami and Orlando. Wednesday at New Orleans, and they finish up Friday, November 14th at Houston, Sunday the 16th at Dallas. And Dallas has struggled a bit out of the gate as well. But, you got 5 games. I think 3-2 is doable there. And anytime you go on a road trip in the NBA and come back with a 500 or greater record, I think that's a good sign. So that's what I'm hoping for is 3-2. Grab 3, lose 2, come back home, and you feel pretty good about yourself. Even if you go 2-3 on that road trip and you come back home with what? That would be 7-6. You'd have to feel real good about that after 13 games. So there'll be some challenges along the way, but I really like the way this team has come together. That win against the Thunder was awesome. I'm still buzzing. I needed a couple of days off after that game. That's one of the best games I've seen at Moda Center or with the Trailblazers in multiple years. The way they came back, the way they battled, the grit they showed, and just the overall effort level with this team on both ends of the floor. Like they're inspiring me, and they are fun to watch. And I think this is a group that people can get behind for sure. So much fun. So don't forget, we have great Trailblazer coverage, the best in town. Every Tuesday on the Rip City Drive, I give away tickets courtesy of Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday. So your chance to win every Tuesday, and we give away tickets to every single Trailblazer home game. All games streamed live via our free iHeartRadio app. So on a Saturday, if you're out bumping around, you're handling some type of honey-do list, you can listen on the app as you're bumping around, no problem. We have our shows during the week. Courtside Monday with Chris Burkhardt when the Blazers are not playing a game. We've got the Trailblazer Insider with Sean Hyken. We have Blazer Wrap-Up with Brendan Slaughter. And, we're going to continue to pump out the Trailblazer podcast. Section 113 with Travis and I. Blazer Balcony with Brooke Olzendam and Casey Holdaw and Casey's briefcase. So this is your one-stop shop for Trailblazer basketball. And, of course, all the games you can hear live on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. But I'm looking forward to the road trip. And, I just want guys to stay healthy. That's all. I can't wait until Scoot comes back. I really think now, and it's pretty obvious that they had Scoot in mind when they put together this current offense that we're seeing now with the pacing and the movement and the way, guys are getting after it. So not a surprise, but I think I want to see how Scoot is able to involve himself in that. And then the pecking order when he does return between Denny and Shaden and Drew and Scoot. But I think Scoot with his athleticism and his quickness, like once he gets accustomed to operating out there and getting used to, all the guys on the floor, like I think this style of play is going to benefit him. He'll be able to play fast, use his athleticism, and it's going to be helpful when he makes his return because of the injury to Blake Wesley. And Matisse Thybulle is going to be out for a few more weeks. But it would be nice to get an extended stretch with all of their guys available. And heck, just having Time Lord back, seeing Williams out there on the floor, filling some productive minutes at center behind Klingon has been huge because he's a big-time player. He was the guy that grabbed the rebound on that final sequence against Oklahoma City to secure the win on the intentional miss at the line by Isaiah Joe. But, this team, very athletic. They're very deep, and I want to see them an extended stretch with all their guys available because they are expending a lot of energy. And I respect the heck out of it, right? Because they're playing so hard that you just got to get behind that. And how much better will they be as they get deeper into the season with more time under their belt in the system? And my guess is Tiago Splitter, like anybody else that's learning on the job, he will get better with time. So I'm pretty excited. Most importantly, this team's just fun to watch, and the way they compete, it's like, okay, I can get behind that. I can absolutely get behind that. I just got this message from the 503. By the way, still absolutely love the throwback jerseys. Talking about the Denver Broncos going with the old school pumpkin orange, the blue helmets with the D and the Bronco coming out of it. I love the helmets, and I love the old school logo. But I'm one of the few that do not like the pumpkin orange jerseys. It's not my thing. It's not my vibe. And I think it's because of scarring. Like the Broncos lost numerous Super Bowls in those jerseys. And I remember that. John Elway in particular. And I'm just not a pumpkin orange type of a guy. It's too bright, and it's not exactly intimidating. I am more partial to the blue jerseys that they transitioned to with the Cyber Horse in 97. And that was the year they won their first Super Bowl. And they wore those jerseys. So I'm always going to be partial to those because of what they represent and what they mean. That color, that jersey means championship. It means Elway getting a ring. So I'm always going to be partial to that. But I am in the vast minority on that. The majority of people are totally down. I don't understand. I got to be honest with you. I don't like all the different jerseys that teams wear. Part of teams is the connection to the colors and the jerseys. And so I don't like teams wearing colors that don't match up with their history. It's confusing. And I just like the one thing I've always loved about sports was knowing exactly what you're going to get from each team. So it's just too much for me. But again, I'm probably in the minority on that. The young guys love it. You get to wear something different. It looks fresh, whatever the case may be. I'm just telling you my preference. It's not a big deal to me, one way or the other. What I have found when it comes to sports, it doesn't matter what your team's wearing. If they win in those jerseys, you'll end up liking those jerseys. Same thing with me. Like if the Broncos won a Super Bowl this year in their retro throwbacks, I would be down with the retro throwbacks. It always gets back to winning, right? Same thing with the Blazers. You win in the jersey, probably going to be pretty okay with it. You know what I'm saying? So there you have it. All right, we'll keep things rolling. Rip City Drive, we got more of the Cascade High School takeover coming up. And then Brian O going to join me in the 5 o'clock hour. Right here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. All right, Brian Noe, Fox Sports Radio is going to come up in the 5 o'clock hour. He'll join me right at 5, and he'll probably be with me for most of the hour because we got a lot of different things to talk about ball-wise with him. Love Bino, and, of course, he's on Countdown to Kickoff both Saturday and Sunday mornings on Fox Sports Radio, so be sure to check him out. Bino is a good dude, and I love talking ball with him. I was having a text conversation with Tony in Boring a little bit earlier, and he was asking me about, where I was at today, what's going on this weekend, and I got to thinking about it. And this is why, if you wonder why I take or make such an effort to get outdoors, play golf, and enjoy my summertime, because this time of year is so busy. It's insanity. In fact, I was looking at the calendar, and I hadn't counted it up until I was looking at the calendar. From October 1st up until today, I have worked every single day, either here at the station on the show or a combination of weekend Blazer games and being down at Spirit Mountain Casino, the Northwest premier entertainment destination. That's just the reality of the work. Every single day. My next actual official day off without any duties with the station, with the Trailblazers, or with the casino will be a week from tomorrow, next Saturday, because there's a Blazer game tomorrow. And Sunday I'll be down there for the table game side bet drawings that they've been doing, which is cool. And I enjoy the work, but yeah, it's just a reality of the season. Everyone's got their busy times of the year. This one right now, the 6 months from basically October, through the month of March and the beginning part of April, that's my busy time. And I love it. But the hard part is that, it's just time consuming. People ask me all the time, like, do you love what you do? And of course I do. I love communicating with people. I love following sports. Like that game the other night with the Blazers, being a Moda Center, watching that game and the atmosphere and how it all played out. Like it reminded me of, why the original thought of why I wanted to get involved in broadcasting anyway, so I could be close to sports and go to games for free. Because I loved going to sporting events when I was younger. When my dad took me to my first game, NBA game, I mean, it was like, for me, it was like, I have seen the top of the mountain, and it is good. Like, it was so fun. My first Bronco game, it was preseason, but I didn't care. I was going to go be at Mile High and be close to John Elway. Sign me up for that. That was awesome. I just like being at the events, but it is time consuming. And I love being down at the casino too. I've been doing it for years, but that's just the nature of the beast, right? We all have, especially work now. Like I know a lot of you can relate. You're doing this, you're doing that. I know multiple guys who deliver for UPS. They're getting ready to enter into a mad time of the year, crazy time. And, there you have it. But I'm one of those people like, there are times where I wish I could have been, an engineer type like my dad, or have like the federal job that, that you have and you have for X number of years and then you retire. But I would be miserable working behind a desk and being there for confined for 8-9 hours a day. Like it would just, part of me would die inside. Like that's not my thing. But some people are great at it. I can't imagine what it's like to be a nurse or, work in the medical profession, deal with patients all day long. Like that's hard work. So, or the stress that comes from operating a small business. Most of my friends, a lot of them have and operate small business. I don't have the entrepreneur type mind. I love small business owners and the work they do, but that's tough too. All right, anywho, enough of that nonsense. We can talk about more nonsense in the form of Denver Bronco football if you want. My apologies to anybody that sat through that game last night and watched the Broncos eke out a 10-7 horrendous victory against the Raiders. In a game where Bo Nix was awful, the Broncos' special teams was a laughing stock, and they had more penalties than first downs. And that's pretty much been the Bronco offense all year. Whatever it takes to try and screw it up for everybody. And you got the defense just playing their asses off every week. It's like, come on, man, is this the best you got? Unbelievable to me. And, of course, Sean Payton, he gets testy because he's an offensive guy, and he probably just despises the fact that Nix is terrible right now and his offense can't do jack. And so he gets a little bit testy when it comes to the questioning after games right now. Like, hey, what's going on with you guys? Why do you struggle to pick up first downs and score points? Sean, you're the offensive genius. Why did it take 25 minutes to get a first down last night against the Raiders? Why did you make their defense look like the 85 Bears? Reasonable questions. and Sean Payton's a little bit testy.
Are you comfortable with the script of just kind of how these games
We're never
continue to be
comfortable
won?
as coaches, but there's no buts. So you're asking, am I comfortable? As a coach, we're never satisfied. If my answer were to you, I'm comfortable, that'd be silly, right? So obviously we gotta clean up the penalties. We gotta clean up some of the execution, and that is an ongoing thing that probably never ends. There's, you search for that Shangri-La.
Well, after that exchange, Sean did a very good job of pointing out, hey, let's not forget something. We're the first team to get to 8 wins, and that's a pretty good place to be. And he was a Parcells disciple. So, of course, Parcells, one of his great lines, as you all know, you are what your record says you are.
Right now, we're a team sitting at 8 wins. I think we're the only team sitting there. So, and yet we're constantly looking internally and starting, but it was a tough night offensively, obviously, and I give them credit. They did some things differently that we hadn't seen, and you start looking at your call sheet with your sub plan, and so we'll look at that tape and we'll learn from it. We always will.
Yeah, 8-2 is pretty good. That's pretty good. You win 7 straight games in the NFL, you're doing something right. It's just hard to believe that a team with this type of offense that's underperforming can win 7 straight games, and yet here we are. More importantly, they have a chance to completely bury Kansas City in the AFC West division race next Sunday. But they can't do it playing offense like we saw last night. That much I can tell you. Now, Bo Nix, on the other hand, knows that they've got to get better. Thank goodness he at least understands that.
Got to do better. At some point, 10 points ain't going to be enough. We got to score more. We just have a tough and resilient football team. We find ways to win. Usually right now it's the defense leading the charge. They just continue to get us the ball back. A bunch of sacks tonight, a few that were in field goal range that knocked them out. And you'll win a lot of games with the defense playing like that. And then tonight we had a little spark with some special teams plays. And then, we just, at some point, we got to start moving the football and scoring points.
Yeah, Bo's no dum-dum. He knows that they can't continue on playing offense like that. And it's got to be hard for a guy like Bo who cares to look at his defenders, the defense, in the face because he's letting them down right now. Now, the defense keeps bailing him out, but, he feels pressure knowing they got to pick it up, that the game would be so much easier if they could just, string together some consistent drives. The defense was in a bad spot all night last night, and they just continued to come up with big stop, big play, you name it, all night long. And they've been doing it all season long because the defense is great, and they've got a fierce pass rush. The other thing I thought was funny, too, Bo, he got booed a lot last night, he and the offense and Sean Payton, and he heard it. It's unfortunate, but I love what he said. It's like, yeah, I've been booed before, and it's not going to be the last time.
What did you think about some of their reaction, the boos and that kind of thing?
Well, I've been booed before, and I'll be booed again, so not going to be the last time. It's obviously unfortunate. You don't want your own fans booing you, but, it's part of it.
All right, so now the Broncos get some extra time to prepare for Kansas City, who is also going to be on a bye this weekend, and we'll see where things shake out next Sunday. What I would do is, one, I would simplify the offense, less personnel groupings, try to simplify things so that guys can get more comfortable. And with Bo, I would just try to continue to have him focus on the basics, footwork, getting comfortable with things. And then, in games, trying to find those plays early in games to where you can get him going in the right direction, easier throws early on to get some completions and feel better about himself, and then hopefully get into a rhythm in the game. I mean, that's where they're at. But right now, the Chiefs and Chargers or the Bills, anyone in the AFC, the Indianapolis Colts, they're probably not looking at Denver and saying, ooh, we're really worried about that club. They're scared of the defense because the defense just creates all sorts of havoc, but it's really tough when you can't put up points. And in the NFL, even though you have a great defense, at some point your offense is going to have to hold up their end of the bargain because you can't play every game in the teens. You can't. The Broncos, by far, are the best. I mean, they're great in the red zone. They're great with the pass rush, great on third down, and they don't give up a lot of points. But at some point, you're going to get into a shootout type game, and you got to find a way to step it up, especially when you get into the postseason and you're taking on better quarterbacks like Josh Allen and frickin' Patrick Mahomes. I think we all know that. You got to be better. But I like Bo. He cares, and he's working hard. It's not a work ethic thing. So we'll see where things go. But they still have time to figure it out. And for Bo, he doesn't have to play like Kurt Warner in 99. He just needs to be better, have a more consistent attack. I mean, if they can just average, 24 points a game, they'll be fine because the defense is that good. I mean, they harassed Geno all night last night. Geno Smith has been terrible this year, but the Broncos hobbled him because he was on his back half the night. 6 sacks last night. 6. Constant pressure. Just boom, boom, boom. I mean, they'll come after you. They can get there with their guys. They'll blitz. Vance Joseph's defense is aggressive, and they love to play that way. And they still don't have Patrick Surtain, who's probably going to miss the KC game and come back after the bye. The good thing is the injury was not serious, the pec, and he'll be back. But the Broncos are in a good spot, but they've got to get more from the offense if they want to compete. Elsewhere, in the AFC, I still consider Kansas City a legitimate threat because they got Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. And even though I don't think they're going to win the division this year, they'll still be a factor come postseason time. So you've got to keep an eye out there with Kansas City. I think Buffalo is super legit. I think the Colts are legit, although we're still waiting for the bottom to fall out with Daniel Jones. And that's where you have it right now. And I think the Steelers and Chargers are there, and both teams can be a problem. And both teams, I think, will be playoff teams. So we'll see. We'll see where everything goes, but that's where we're at right now. But I think Kansas City is still a factor. But for the Broncos, you got to put them away while you got the chance. All right? Do everyone a favor and make that happen, Denver. Sean Payton, come on. I saw Mike Shanahan in the box with Greg Penner, the Broncos owner, last night. He was probably saying, man, you hire me, I can replace Sean. I guarantee we have better offense than that with Bo Nix. But I'm hoping that Mike Shanahan, he's on the list. He should get inducted into the Hall of Fame this year, and he's well-deserving. And he's got 2 championships as head coach of the Broncos. But I'm a big fan of Mike Shanahan. And just look at the impact of that he's had on the game with his coaching tree. And the coaches who have gone out underneath the direction of Mike Shanahan and what they're doing right now. Guys like Sean McVay. Kyle Shanahan's doing a heck of a job, but big fan of Mike. All right, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. 503-248-0620. You can jump on board tomorrow. Blazers are going to be in Miami taking on the Heat. Tip-off will be at 5. I'll have Blazer Game Day at 3, and then I'll have the network pregame show at 4, and it's all going to be right here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. And it's also streaming live via our free iHeartRadio app. All right, we'll keep things rolling. I appreciate your time. More of the Cascade High School takeover, the Rip City Drive, is coming up next. And Brian Noe from Fox Sports Radio coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. All right, the Cascade High School takeover of the Rip City Drive continues. And if you're just joining me, I hope you're enjoying your Friday. Justin Louder, teacher down at Cascade High School in Turner, Oregon, teaches a media class, and he and I have been working together for a few years to, try and enrich his students and give them some opportunities. And so each year we put together some curriculum for them to work on radio segments, and then they perform them. I record them, and then we play them back on the show to give them some real live experience. And so I enjoy it, and I know the kids do as well. And that's what we're doing today. We had a few groups yesterday and the rest of the groups today. And so that's why I do it, because I wanted, when I was that age, to get some real experience. But it wasn't available. So I just begged different radio bosses to let me come in and hang out and watch and observe. And with that, I had a chance to draw some connections with people and move on from there. So I'm excited for the kids. This next group, Declan, Joel, and Carson, decided to focus in on the NFL. And as you know, we've had, different topics from everybody. The OSA playoffs with the Cascade Cougars. We had a group breakdown Dutch Brothers yesterday, Taco Bell today, and now we're going to jump into the NFL. So Declan, Joel, and Carson, group 3 from today, talking about the NFL with the Cascade High School takeover of the Rip City Drive.
Howdy, I'm your host, Declan. I'm here with my co-hosts, Joel and Carson, and we'll be talking about football games that happened over the weekend, and off to Joel for his first game.
Yeah, thanks, Declan. My first game, we'll be talking about the Chargers and the Titans game. Now, for the Chargers, their running backs are, all injured. Marion Hampton's out. Najee Harris tore his ACL. So they were kind of relying on Kamani Vidal just to kind of give them something, but they really couldn't do much with that O-line and Rashawn Slater being out for the season. And that kind of forces the Chargers to throw a lot on almost every down. I think that they're throwing on 66% of every down. And it causes Herbert to kind of make some questionable moves because he's kind of forced into that throwing scenario a ton. That's why you see he's thrown, I think, 8 interceptions on the year, when last season he only threw 3. It's because they're relying on him to make the correct decision every time, and that's just not going to happen. He's human. But Herbert still is second in the league in passing yards. He's first in the league for touchdowns, I think. So he's still been playing great. And I think the Chargers have found their new breakout star at the tight end position with Gadsden. He had 68 yards that game against the Titans. And a couple of games ago, he had, 100 and something yards. He's been on a roll the past 4 weeks once they finally give him playing time. And that's really good for Herbert to have another passing weapon so that he doesn't have to rely on, just their weak O-line. And for the Titans, Tony Pollard, kind of their big running back, had an okay game. He just was pretty mediocre. The Titans just, in general, had a pretty mediocre game. But for them, it was not a terrible game because they were at least somewhat in contention to win this game because they're 1-8 or 1-7. And they were really only in the game because they had a punt return touchdown and 3 field goals. And just that punt return touchdown is really the only thing that kept them in this game. Cam Ward took a lot of hits. Their O-line is not very good. And so now I'll be passing it over to Carson for his games.
Thank you, Joel. And my game was about the Colts versus Steelers. The Colts were 7-1 before the game, and the Steelers were 4-3. And the Colts, they had Daniel Jones as their quarterback. He was a good player. Don't get me wrong, but I had basically no idea that the Colts would do good this season. It kind of just surprised me. But Daniel Jones threw over 2,000 yards before the game and in the season entirely. He's spearheading their offense. He's been their only QB. They look to keep him for a long, long time because he's just doing insanely good. And they put in a guy for 1 or 2 plays, and he got 6 yards. So I don't think they're trying to get rid of Daniel Jones anytime soon. And Jonathan Taylor has 900 total yards, and he's amazing. But again, Colts never thought they would have gotten a pretty good record this season. But now let's talk about the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers is basically the uncle of the entire NFL. He is not throwing like he used to, but he's not a bad player in all. He still has 14 passing yards, even though he's like 41, and he's retiring after this season. Not only does that help him, but it also kind of like crutches him because he can teach the playbook to these young players. He can teach them a lot of things, but he's old. He can't work his arm or his legs like he used to. But now we have Jalen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell. They're good when it comes to their yards, but 600 in total for both of them, whilst the Colts had 900 on one guy. So that might have worked in favor for the Steelers because they knew who to guard, like really well. So they won, I think it was 27-20. Yeah, 27-20. And Steelers won, and that was kind of shocking to me because I didn't think the Steelers were going to win. And that has been my game, and it's off to Joel.
Yeah, I'll be your host for this next segment, which we will still be continuing to going over some games, and the first person who will be talking is Carson.
All right. Thank you, Joel. And my second game was about the Chicago Bears versus the Bengals. The Chicago Bears held a 4-3 record before the game, and the Bengals had a 3-5 record. The Bengals lost to the Jets. If that tells you anything about the team, it's that they're kind of on and off. See, the Jets aren't really that good of a team. I'm pretty sure they're 1-8. And let's talk about the Bengals now. Their offense really isn't that good. They've had a lot of chances to go to the end zone, but they never capitalized on it because Joe Burrow, their MVP, was going to be an MVP before he got basically robbed of his MVP by Josh Allen. And without him, they can't really see down the field that well, even though their backup QB is really good. And they, hopefully when he comes back, he can just have his MVP because he needs one. Joe Burrow kind of needs one. However, they basically shocked or almost scared the Bears fans as they exploded in the last couple of minutes with 20 points. And now, that game, they played defense like absolute trash. So, it was a high-score game. It was 47-42 in win for the Chicago Bears. The Bears have Caleb Williams. He's a stud. He's throwing for over 1,900 yards. Chicago really hasn't been that much of a threat, but they're still a good team. And that's been my segment, and off to Declan.
Yeah, I'm back. For my first game, I have the Seahawks at the Commanders. Coming into the game, Seahawks were undefeated by the way, 3-0, and Commanders were 2-1 at home. Matt Gay, Austin Eckler, and Terry McLaurin were not going to play for Washington. And for Seattle, Jordan Love, Jake Bobo, Cooper Kupp, and Jaron Reed did not play, so that definitely impacted the Seahawks a bit. But the big storyline coming out of the game is the Jaden Daniels elbow dislocation on the Drake Thomas sack. It was scary to watch in real time and scary to watch in highlights, and unfortunately, but he's going to be out for a while, and it's only his second season in the NFL. But Drake Thomas had a real good move. Instead of going to the post-game interviews, he went right to the hospital to check on Daniels. But Darnold was not really expected to do super well with the Seahawks, but he had 4 touchdowns and his MVP odds boosted by a bit. And then, of course, Jackson Smith and Jigba, he's being a beast of a receiver this year. He's leading the NFL in receiving yards with 696 total, 80 more than a banged-up Puka Nacua, who has been out for a while, but also 171 yards away of ahead of George Pickens in third place. Seahawks won that game 38-14 over Washington, so they continued to stay tied in first with the Rams. So yeah, it's the NFC West race is going to start heating up soon. And now off to Carson.
And I will be hosting this segment and off to Joel for his game.
Yeah, thanks, Carson. My second game is the Patriots and the Falcons game. Now, really, there's only 2 words for this game, and that's Drake London. The Patriots pulled this one off by the Falcons missing a PAT to go into overtime. And Demario Douglas had a breakout game, 100 yards and a touchdown. But the real reason why they won this game is they kind of just stopped Bijan. He had less than 50 yards this game, and he's really the Falcons' best player outside of Drake London. There's an argument there, but I think it's Bijan. And the defense for the Falcons was really good this game. Their D-line was really the standout. Their corners were okay. But they invested a lot in the draft, drafting James Pierce Jr., and a few other players. But their D-line was getting to Drake May a lot in this game. And that's also why they were in this game. But the real MVP for the Falcons is Drake London. He had 118 yards and 3 touchdowns. Michael Penix is not the greatest quarterback. He kind of just chucks the ball as hard as he can at players. At least that's what it looks like. He's a odd throwing motion, but for Drake London, he would just kind of just loft it up and just hope that Drake London would catch it. And Drake London did catch it. He had so many jump balls. He had amazing hands in this game. 3 touchdowns, all weren't exactly wide open. And there were several plays where it was just Penix just lofting it up for him and just hoping that Drake London would catch it. But yeah, Drake London had an amazing game, and I think if they made that PAT, that they would have won that game in overtime. And so now off to Declan for his second game.
Sticking in the NFC West and East, we have the 49ers at Giants. Purdy and Pearsall, 2 big players for San Francisco, were questionable and ended up not playing in the game at all in the good win for the 49ers over the Giants. Definitely not as good as the Seahawks game, 34-24 Niners. But Johnson Jr., Bellinger, and Collins were also questionable for the Giants. So not really big impact players for the Giants, but big impact players for the 49ers. CMC ran over the Giants' defense with 106 yards and only 1 touchdown, which is kind of mind-boggling if you think about it, because if you have 100-plus yards, usually you would think you would have more than 1 touchdown. But it was obviously working for the 49ers to hand the ball off to McCaffrey. I think they should have handed it off more. But Mac Jones is doing pretty well at throwing, and the 49ers are now 3-2 while away, and Giants 2-2 at home. But like I said earlier, the NFC West race is really heating up with the Rams and Seahawks tied at the top, both at 6-2, and then the 49ers at 6-3, and the Cardinals being the Cardinals and not doing well and being at 3-5 right now. And they're the only team that's below 500, so they're not doing super well, but the top 2 teams in the Seahawks and Rams have a win streak of 3, and the 49ers and Cardinals only have a win streak of 1. But, yeah, this has been talking about football games that happened over the weekend with Joel, Carson, and Declan, and we'll touch back later.
All right, there you go. Big thanks to Declan, Joel, and Carson, Group 3, talking about the NFL. Love the breakdown on Michael Penix. He just kind of chucks it around and throws it too hard at his receivers. I mean, that's not necessarily inaccurate. All right, next group, final group, Kaysen, Avery, and Shane. I think they're talking about some type of game or some type of gaming app. I'm not really sure, but they were creative and wanted to have a couple of commercial ads in their segment. So they did that. So I hope you enjoy it. But this is the final of my groups from Cascade High School. Once again, a big thanks to Justin Lauder and the school for having me down and enjoyed it. But here's Kaysen, Avery, and Shane breaking down whatever it is they're breaking down.
I'm your host, Avery,
with my co-host Shane. Our topic we're going to be talking about is Clash Royale. Our segments are going to be top 3 best evolutions. Then we're going to roll into our top 5 best cards. And then to finish it off, we're going to have our top 3 meta decks. So let's just get straight to the chase on the first. We're going to go roll into the top 3 best evolutions. I'm going to start off. My first is Witch. It heals from her Skellies, Witch. So basically she can attack and then she gets healed from her Skellies. So I feel like that's just overpowered. And then she doesn't even die to like potions like normal do. So like if like someone wants to counter with a potion with poison or anything, like she won't die from it. So I just feel like that just gets her at the top. I mean, she already is getting healed from her Skellies. She's basically almost a tank basically from it. And yeah, I just really feel like Witch is one of the top, if not the best evolution in Clash Royale right now. What do you think, Shane?
I really like that pick, Avery. You know, Witch is really solid when it comes to one of the best evolutions. One of my next picks is going to be Evo Snowball, because Evo Snowball has a mechanic to where it can bring troops back and like roll troops back. And so this is useful for both defense and offense, because defense, it can save you, and offense, it can, like, say you place on a graveyard, you Evo Snowball like the Dark Goblin and the Goblin Gang, or like anything that is placed on your graveyard. And it's good for expo locks because it can temporarily remove all troops on the board for the expo to lock onto, and so the expo just locks on the tower. And it's good for, like, you know, defensive sequences. Yeah, Avery, what do you think? And what's your next Evo?
My next Evo, I love Snowball. Snowball's one of my favorites. I really agree with that, Shane. We're going to talk about the last Evo we're going to be talking about for this segment, and it's going to be Valk. Valk, defensive unit, probably the best defensive unit, especially when it comes to evolutions. I mean, she can pull troops towards her, right? She's, you know, she can counter Skellies. She can counter a lot of things, you know, a big group. You know, she's almost a tank, bro. Like, she takes a while for her to die. You know, like I said, she's one of the best defensive units. The pulling the troops towards her is just amazing. She's 4 elixir, 2 cycle, which is a balanced. And yeah, I mean, I just really think she's just balanced in general, you know. Yeah, that's basically all I had to say about her. So that's the end of our first segment, top 3 best evolutions. Honestly, thank you for listening. We're going to be listening to this ad by Audi. We'll get back to you guys shortly.
Progress is a design language created to suit your style and a spacious interior with room for big ideas. Light signatures, leaving a lasting impression on your followers. Headlights designed to light up your face. An all-wheel drive that insists on weather instead of resisting it. High speed without moving. And range measured by the freedom it gives you. That's progress you can feel.
All right, welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Avery. We're with Shane. And our next segment we're going to be talking about is the top 5 best cards in Clash Royale right now. I went first, so I'm going to let Shane take this for his first one. Shane, what do you got?
For my best card of all of Clash Royale, I got the Knight. You know, it's got good health. It's got, you know, pretty decent damage for being just a tank. It's got a lot of health. Like, I think that makes it really, like, valuable. It's good for tanking for troops like Graveyard, spells like Graveyard, which is a really good win condition. Things like Goblin Barrel, you know, focuses the troop on the Knight, and the Knight can take a lot of hits. It's 3 elixir compared to its girl version that people like to say is the Valkyrie. The Valk is 4 elixirs, you know, 3 elixir for more health, and it's really solid. It counters troops like Mega Knight with the help of the Princess Tower, so it gets a lot of value on the board, and it doesn't cost as much, which is pretty nice. Avery, what do you think?
Honestly, I fully agree with you. 3 elixirs, pretty cheap per night, seeing what you're getting with them, honestly. I honestly fully agree with you saying he's the best card in the game. I fully agree. He's in all my decks, basically. Knight's just overpowered, you know, like you said, the good health and damage. But my next is Miner. I think Miner has the best win condition in all of Clash Royale. Honestly, that's really all I even have to say about it. I mean, best win condition, low elixir, and honestly, like, Miner is just overpowered. I mean, he will help you win a game if you're down. You know, if you really just need to get started on something, Miner is just always there for you. So yeah, that's basically all I gotta say. What you got for your next one, Shane?
I like that pick on Miner. For my next one, I got the Log. The Log is a really valuable small spell. It's 2 elixir, gets a lot of value, can wipe down goblin barrels, goblin gangs, you know. And so you almost always get a positive elixir trade with using the Log. And it can just really save you in defense and offense sometimes. But yeah, Avery, what do you think?
I love Log. I love small elixirs. You know, I really agree with that. My next is Ice Spirit. Ice Spirit, great for defense. You know, really good for defense. It freezes units for a small amount of time, which can save you in defensive sequences. You know, if you're about to lose, bro, just put down the Ice Spirit and it freezes. You can regather your thoughts. Make sure you can win this Clash Royale game. I mean, this is why we clash. You know what I mean? So yeah, Ice Spirit, top card. What do you think, Shane?
I like that pick on Ice Spirit. I like that little thing you did towards Jinxie there. But this is why we clash. I like that. It's a good reference. For my last top 5 best card, for my 5th best card, I got the Skellies. The Skellies is 1 elixir, low elixir. You know, there's an evolved version as well, but even just the normal ones are so solid because they counter so many mini tanks. They're great for defense. You know, they can counter a lot on defense and can have some offensive value. You know, you go Miner Skellies, the Miner tanks for the Skellies get on tower. Like, it's just a great sequence. Avery, what do you think about my pick on Skellies?
I honestly love Skellies. You know, I agree so fully with you. Low elixir again, you know, for what you're getting. I fully agree with you. But we're going to be wrapping up that segment. We're going to be rolling to our 3rd one. But before, we're going to hear a break from an ad. We're going to get an ad right here. Progressive, you know, we couldn't even be doing this right now if it wasn't for Progressive. So we're going to be rolling into an ad, and then we're going to be going into our last topic, which is the top 3 meta decks in Clash Royale.
The road can be a wild place. There are all kinds of drivers out there. That's why Progressive Snapshot personalizes your insurance rate based on your driving. So you're not stuck paying for someone else's mistakes. What? Is there something wrong with my hair?
All right, thank you, Progressive, again for that ad. We're going to be rolling to our last segment right here, top 3 meta decks. Shane went first last. Shane went first last time. I'm going to go first this time. My number 1 meta deck that I've been using a lot is our first 2 Evos is going to be Evo Skelly Barrel and Evo Royal Ghost. I just think that's just such balance between those 2, you know. And then to even make it even better, you got Dark Gob Vines, Bar Barrel, which I love Bar Barrel, Bomb Tower, and Rascals. I just feel like Bomb Tower is great. Bar Barrel is great. You know, I just feel like this is such a balanced deck, and I honestly feel like it's honestly the best deck in Clash Royale right now as of today. What do you think, Shane?
I think that's really solid. For me, I got the Evo Skarmy, the Evo Ghost, the Giant Skelly, the Piggies, Mother Witch, Fisherman, Zappies, Arrows. This is the deck I've been maining for so long. Like, you have the deck above it, but I really like this deck because I have fun playing it, using the new Evos, using all these cards. You know, it's really well-rounded. I really enjoy it. Avery, what do you think?
I honestly agree with you. I mean, I've only been able to use the new Evos a couple times. I love them. I honestly feel like that. So our last part that we're going to be talking about before we let you guys go is Evo Ghost, Evo Baby Dragon. Amazing. You know, I love those. I love Baby Dragon, one of my favorite people. And then I got E-Giant, Bowling, Lightning, Gob Hunt, Tornado, and Bar Barrel again. I love Bar Barrel. I love Tornado. Gob Hunt's amazing. Lightning, Bowling. I mean, I feel like this is the most balanced deck. You know, we have the 2 OP decks, but I feel like this is the most balanced deck. So yeah, honestly, that's gonna wrap it up for us. Thank you guys for listening. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. My name's Avery. I'm your host. I got my co-host Shane.
Yo, I'll see you guys.
And, yeah, that's basically going to wrap it up. Hope you guys have a nice day and stay safe.
All right, once again, big props to Cascade High School and all of the students who participated in the takeover of the Rip City Drive. We'll keep things rolling. Don't forget, coming up at 5 o'clock, Brian Noe, Fox Sports Radio, going to join us, and we'll talk some ball. Bino coming up at 5. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. You know what's annoying? How on earth does Prince Harry continue to make news? Did you see this latest thing with what he's calling Hatgate? I love this report here. Prince Harry went to Toronto for events marking the end of World War I and found himself on an apology tour for offending Canadians. Oh, we wouldn't want that, would we? Speaking to a military charity Thursday night, the Duke of Sussex sought to once again address the blue-hatted elephant in the room. He was referring to his widely ridiculed choice to wear a Dodgers cap at a World Series game in L.A. against the Blue Jays. According to the report, it was seen as a major snub in Canada, a British Commonwealth nation where his father, King Charles III, is the head of state. He was blasted on social media in the Great White North. Harry apologized for the blunder and tried to put a humorous spin on the incident he referred to as, quote, Hatgate. Quote, when you're missing a lot of hair on top and you're sitting under floodlights, you'll take any hat that's available. Hey-o! He then donned a Blue Jays cap that happened to be at arm's length away. Dude, you know what's really dumb? Politicians, and this goes for every single one of them, they're all frauds. It's like they're so insincere. I mean, Harry can't even wear an L.A. Dodger cap in L.A. at a World Series game without people getting butthurt about it. I couldn't care less. I don't even care about him or what's his wife's name, Megan or whatever her name is. Annoying. Just please get off my news feed. And shame on ESPN and these other outlets for reporting it, too. One, I don't care about Canadians' feelings about the World Series. I'm glad LA won the World Series. And two, frankly, I couldn't care less about what hat Harry chooses to wear. And I'm not a hat guy, but if I had a dome like his, I would wear a hat, too. But I don't like hats. Who cares? Who cares? It doesn't matter. He was in LA at Dodger Stadium. Who cares if he wore an LA hat? Is that a problem? You know, we've had presidents in the past. Wasn't Bill Clinton a big Arkansas fan? Good for him. George Bush was a Texas fan. Who cares? It doesn't matter to me. I couldn't care less. What about Trump? Is he a fan of any particular team? He goes to a lot of SEC games. But I don't know. Does he endorse one team? I don't think so. What do I care? I wouldn't even care if there was a president endorsing the Raiders and wanted to be a Raider fan. Anyways, it just doesn't matter to me. I couldn't care less. He's in L.A. at Dodger Stadium. He wanted to wear a hat because he's got a horrendous dome, and they're probably going to have a lot of Dodger hats there, so put one on. And just because you wear a hat, I know a lot of people that wear hats from teams, and I'm like, oh, you're a Dodger fan. No, I just got the hat. I do that. I go to different games. I buy golf shirts at different stadiums. I've got a Rockies golf shirt. Am I a Rockies fan? Not really. I went to Yankee Stadium, got a couple of Yankee golf shirts. I just collect them. I like them because I like having golf shirts from different stadiums. It doesn't mean I endorse the team. And people are so sensitive nowadays. Oh, I can't believe he wore a Dodger hat. And we got bigger things to worry about than what hats Prince Harry's wearing or whatever. Or if his wife, Megan, decides to wear a hat. Yeah, when you go to a stadium and they have one team there, you're going to find a lot of Dodger gear there. Anywho, Brian Noe, Fox Sports Radio, is coming up in just a few minutes, and we're going to talk ball with him. Tomorrow, Blazers in Miami kicking off the 5-game roadie against the Heat. Tip-off will be at 5, and I'll have Blazer game day at 3. I'm also going to have the 5th quarter after the broadcast, so I'll be here for you to take your calls, and we can talk about some of the action that goes down. We got big college football games tomorrow, including Oregon at Iowa. I love that game because it's such a contrast in styles. Iowa plays a certain way, and they want to muck it up. And so you got to be prepared for that. All right, we'll come back, and we'll talk ball with Brian O, Fox Sports Radio. A lot of different games to talk on, and we'll get his take on a few of those matchups with the point spread as well. You've got the Rip City Drive with Chad doing on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. All right, Rip City Drive. My brother from another mother from Fox Sports Radio, Brian No, Mr. Bino is with me once again. What's up, Bino?
What is going on, Chad? Doing? I'll tell you what, man. I feel like I've had to take 9 showers after watching your Broncos offense. I'm not even a Broncos fan. What the hell is up with your team? My gosh.
You know what's crazy is that there haven't been, I counted them up the other night, in history, how many 6-game winning streaks. It's now up to 7. It's only happened 11 times in the 40 years I've been a Bronco fan. So it's great to have your team on fire winning 7 straight games. But I got to be honest with you. This is the first time in my life, where the Broncos have been 8-2, and I don't feel good about it. They've got the best record in the NFL, and I'm not okay.
I know. I know. It's gosh. I was just looking at their schedule, and I'm like, all right, the losses are coming. They have to. They're right around the corner. You've been lucky to survive against the Justin Fields Jets. You were lucky to win against the Geno Raiders last night.
And Geno's terrible, by the way. Horrible. Oh my gosh. But here's what scares me the most, and I try to be as reasonable as possible. But, I think that there's a couple of things going on. One, I do think the wind had a factor last night. But I was concerned last year, and especially at the beginning of this year with Sean Payton, because he's a genius, and he'll tell you if you don't believe him, I'm a genius. He likes to run a lot of different personnel groupings out there. His offense is very, in-depth and confusing. And I was concerned about young quarterback, young players, trying to absorb that sometimes if you're thinking too much, you're not reacting and playing well. So I thought that was a factor. But after last night's game, if you look at the numbers and the performance throughout the year, I mean, we're now at a point where it's possible that they drafted the wrong guy and Bo Nix isn't the answer. Now, I don't know that for sure yet, but after last night, I'm like, man, he looked awful. And now you've got to wonder if, is it just shaking confidence? Is it just a matter of, going through some basics and getting the footwork right, or is he just not a very good quarterback? And I hate to say it, but that might be it too.
Yeah. I call him Hobo Nix. It's my new nickname for him. He's playing like an absolute bum right now, so I think it fits. I was going to go Bum Nix, and I'm like, wait a minute. And it was like, Hobo Nix. Are you kidding me? That is a great nickname for the guy right now. Yeah, he's just bad right now. And you look at some of the numbers, Chad, and it's like the passer rating, and some people are like, man, it's white noise. He's winning games. It's like, dude, that is unsustainable. You've got to play better than what Hobo Nix is playing at right now. Like, Kyler Murray has been benched. They have virtually the same passer rating. Hobo Nix is 0.1, percentage point below Kyler Murray. He's below Justin Fields. He's looking up at Justin Fields and Kyler Murray in terms of his passer rating. He's barely ahead of Michael Penix Jr. and Tua.
No.
That's his cul-de-sac right now is Hobo Nix. That is not good enough.
I'll go with that right now. He is a hobo. And Hobo Nix, here's the other point too, Brian, is that he's fortunate to be on a team that has such a great defense and, one of the best pass rushes in the, history of the league, because these games that they've been able to come back and win, if he were on a team with a lesser defense, he would have a 2-8 record, and they would be considering benching him. That's the difference, right? He's getting away with it because the team is winning football games in spite of the offense. So it's really frustrating right now. And the other part that sucks is that, you got Kansas City coming to town a week from Sunday, and this is a game where the Broncos have full control of the AFC West. And if they beat Kansas City, the Chiefs can kiss the division goodbye. So it's like you got to get the offense together because you've got a chance to drive the stake through the heart of the Chiefs. And it would bury them because they would be like 3 games up in the division, and they would have a win over them. So bye-bye Kansas City. But the problem is if they play like they did last night and have more penalties than first downs, you can't beat Patrick Mahomes like that. I'm certain of it. Jeez.
Know, man. And that's the thing, man. Hats off to their defense. It's unbelievable that the Broncos have trailed in every game this season. And they're 8-2. The other teams that have trailed in every game. Have you seen this list? The Saints, who are 1-8. The Titans, who are 1-8. The Cowboys, who are 3-5-1. The Bengals, who are 3-6. Like, all 4 of those other teams combined have as many wins as the Broncos. Like, those teams have trailed in every game. And it's just the Broncos that have a great record. Everybody else has an awful record. We're talking like 1-8 for a couple of teams. So it tells me a couple of things. One, it shows me how how elite that Broncos defense really is.
Yeah.
Because typically in football, what you see, Chad, is many things complement each other. Like, take the Vikings, for instance. Their defense has taken a noticeable step backward this season,
Yep.
right? But that's because the offense isn't nearly as good as it has been. They finally played well offensively against the Lions last week, and what do you know? The defense played way better in that game against a really tough offense to defend. And so that's the thing. Like, offense helps your defense. Defense helps your offense. If you look at the Broncos defense, how many games has the Broncos offense just left them high and dry? They have not helped them at all. And yet the Broncos defense is still doing work. And you could look, sideways at some of the opponents and, well, it's the Geno Raiders. It's the Fields Jets. That has something to do with it. But when your offense isn't helping you whatsoever and you're still elite, now you're really talking. And that's where the Broncos defense is. That's why their record is as good as it is right now. It's because of the D.
Yeah, and they're on pace. They're probably going to beat the 84 Bears record of sacks in a season with 72, which is pretty amazing. Now, let's talk about some of these games because I want a gambling note to come out. One game that's jumped out is this 49er Rams game coming up this weekend. At last check, the Rams were a 4.5-point favorite on the road. And this much I do know, the dog in this series, 9-1 against the spread in the last 10. Tell me why I shouldn't take the 49ers.
Man, I just... the main reason is because Matthew Stafford, have you seen this freaking guy's numbers?
He's awesome.
21 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions. That's what he's doing. And this is crazy too. He's only been on one MVP ballot in his career. That's it. He finished 8th in 2023. That's it. That's the only time. That's the only time he's appeared.
Unreal.
Getting votes. That's wild for Matthew Stafford. But he's playing at an elite level this season. They got Puka Nacua back last week, coupled with Devontae Adams. That's a really, really tough offense to defend. And I also think this. I mean, you take your hat off to Mac Jones and what the Niners were able to do in the first meeting on the road. Remember, it was that Thursday night game, and Mac played a great, great game, and the Niners pulled off the upset. I just look at this where it's go time for the Rams in the division. They're 0-1 in the NFC West. They've only played one divisional game. They got their first win against an NFC team last week. That's it. So you got to stack NFC wins. You got to stack NFC West wins. And right now, the Rams are just healthier and they're better. And I look at one of the main things that why I don't even like the Niners with the points is Christian McCaffrey. It's been feast or famine with him on the ground. He's been amazing as a receiver out of the backfield, and that'll probably continue. But he had another really good game last week against the Giants and their sucky run defense. I just don't see how Christian McCaffrey does a whole lot on the ground in this one. And I like the Rams pass rush. I think this game could absolutely get away from the Niners. I'm not saying by 3 touchdowns. It's a divisional game. It'll probably be within reason. But, man, 4.5, I would lay it in this spot. I don't make a habit of laying 4.5 in divisional games with the road team. But in this spot, I would absolutely do it.
Well, I tell you what, I love the conviction that you have in those type of moments. Bino, Brian O, Fox Sports Radio. We're talking some ball here on the Rip City Drive, getting ready for another big weekend. The Colts went out and got Sauce Gardner. They also only have 2 losses. They played great football, coming off a bizarre game that they lost to Pittsburgh, where the Steelers turned it over 5 times. Do you like the addition of Gardner, and do you think that will help bolster their attack as they move forward?
I do. I like it. But what's funny is I read something, and it's so obvious, and I'm like, how did I not think of this? I think it was Dan Graziano at ESPN. He has a column each week with Fowler, and they put together all their notes. Really good. I highly recommend it. But I think it was Graziano. He was like, I was speaking to people around the league, and it's like they kept telling me this is not just a bet on Sauce Gardner. This is a bet on Daniel Jones. And it's like, think about what they sacrificed. They sacrificed 2 first-round picks. So they seem pretty content with Daniel Jones going forward. That's a lot of draft capital that you need to move up potentially to get your quarterback of the now and the future. So that is a gigantic bet on Daniel Jones. And overall this season, we get it. He's played very well. But, man, a couple of losses here. Last week against Pittsburgh, he was brutal. He was like Jared Goff against pressure. He did not handle pressure well whatsoever. And so that is a gigantic bet, not only on Sauce Gardner, who has played at an all-pro level for a couple of years, his first 2 years in the league, and has since, gone backward a little bit, right? But it's not just a bet on Sauce. It's a gigantic bet on Daniel Jones. And when you look at it like that, it's like, oh, man, that kind of changes the equation right there, right? Like Daniel Jones under pressure last week. I mean, there's some nerd numbers here, but he was pressured on 32% of his dropbacks, right? This is against the Steelers. Listen to these numbers, Chad. 6 for 13, 2 picks, 5 sacks. He's being pressured 32% of the time, and his numbers are there. Like, those numbers are in the toilet. So he's got to be a lot better against pressure, and he was bad. He was really bad last week against the Steelers. So that Colts antenna has got to perk up like, is the dance over? Like, is the late night rave over here with Daniel Jones? Because he's played well for a long time this season, but you have to wonder if he's going to start regressing routinely now going forward or not.
All right, the Patriots, impressive at 7-2. They're 4-0 away from home. Mike Vrabel's a phenomenal coach. They're at Tampa this week, and the Bucs are laying 2.5. Why shouldn't I be dropping money down on Tampa at minus 2.5?
Man, I like the Patriots getting points. You look at their rush defense is number 1, and you're going up against the Tampa team that doesn't have Bucky Irving, right? You look at all the wide receiver injuries there, Mike Evans, Godwin, the list goes on and on. So you've got, a backup running back. Rashad White is good, but I like Bucky Irving better, gives him a little bit more juice. And you've got a number of backup wide receivers going up against the Patriots defense that's really good. I don't see the Patriots letting Tampa run the ball. And if they're one-dimensional like that, I don't love Baker throwing to a bunch of, number 2, number 3, number 4 receivers.
Yeah.
Baker's done a really good job to this point. But this is a tougher test, right? This is one of the tougher teams in the league. I guess you could poke holes with the Patriots. They've had a very favorable schedule to this point. But, I mean, ask yourself, going into Buffalo, beating Josh Allen and the Bills, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yes.
So I believe in Drake May. I believe in their passing attack. I believe in their rush defense in particular. And I like their defense collectively under Mike Vrabel. I like the Patriots. And getting points, man, that's really attractive when you're getting 2 in the hook. So I like the Pats in that game.
Well, I've been impressed with Mike Vrabel. I just think he's such a great coach. And his coaching effect, he's probably responsible for like 3 or 4 wins this year. And he's got them playing great defense. And now I wouldn't have thought this a few weeks ago, but they're absolutely a legitimate they're in a legitimate spot to where they can go out and win the AFC East because of their defense and the way Drake May is playing. And it's not like he's dinking and dunking. No. He's putting the ball downfield, man. It's been impressive.
Yeah, he has been. And that's the thing, man. I've said where I think the Patriots this year are like the last year's version of the Commanders.
Oh, that's very good. Yeah.
It's so weird. Like, if you look at this, Chad, how it really lines up. I mean, I'm looking at my little geek depth chart right here, and I highlight like the free agent additions in gold, right? And the Patriots picked up a lot of dudes, not star players, but have contributed. Think about Stephon Diggs in that road game against Buffalo, how huge he was in that game. Picked up a couple of offensive linemen. Picked up Milton Williams from Philadelphia. Remember, he was big in their Super Bowl chase last season. Just picked up guys. Harold Landry, right? Carlton Davis at corner. You picked up guys that have contributed. And that's what the Commanders did last offseason. They had a bunch of free agent additions, and it helped improve the roster. And then if you continue it a little bit further, it was weird, right? So the Commanders 2 years ago, 4-13, last place. Well, guess where the Patriots were last year? 4-13, last place. And what's weird, even more strange, is you look at the divisions that they play. So last year, Commanders, AFC North, NFC South. Those are the exact 2 divisions the Patriots are playing this year. So I'm not saying they're going to get to the AFC title game, like the Commanders got to the NFC title game last season. I don't know that they get that far, but I think this team is absolutely a 12-plus win team. I think they're going to challenge for the AFC East. I wouldn't be surprised if they make real noise in the playoffs. I do. I think they're that good. And we just saw it last year, so let's not act like this is unfathomable. I think that's where they are right here midway through the season.
Yeah, and I was impressed with Buffalo's win last week against Kansas City. I thought their defensive line played better. They put pressure on Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen looked very competent out there. So I really like the way the Bills played. I just want to see that type of juice on a more consistent basis when they're not playing Kansas City.
Yeah, man, that running game, like James Cook, that was a big deal, right? You're seeing some of these teams.
Balance, baby.
Yeah, the teams that can run the ball, and you're keeping Mahomes on the sideline.
Yeah.
And that passing attack, like, hey, give the ball to Cook. Let's run the rock, baby. Like, you're seeing teams do that and have some real success with it. So, hey, look, I love a good passing game like anybody else, but when you're able to run the ball, you can dictate so many things. And the Bills did a great job of that last week. And if they can do that going forward, yeah, they're going to be a real problem.
All right. I want to get your take on the Seahawks coming off that beatdown of the Commanders on Sunday night. And what are we learning about Darnold? We wondered after last year, was that a one-off with the Vikings? Because his numbers would indicate he's playing like a top 5 quarterback right now. And he's got maybe the best connection between wide receiver and quarterback in the league with Jackson Smith and Jigma. He's been very impressive. What's your read on the Hawks and, most importantly, their quarterback, Sam Darnold?
Yeah, it's a mixed bag for me with Darnold because, I like him in doses, but I can't trust the guy at all. He had a really good year last season with the Vikings until it mattered most. You know what I mean? And then against the Lions, Week 18, 1 seed on the line, he had numerous wide-open dudes. Can't hit him. The playoff game against the Rams was just a debacle. Just holding onto the ball way too long. Much different quarterback when facing a pass rush. So I just can't trust the guy. It's great that in a primetime game, he looked awesome. But Washington is a grease fire this season. I'm not going to get giddy because Darnold threw for a bunch of yards and a bunch of touchdowns against the Commanders, right? Like, come on. So, no, I just don't trust the guy. And he's put up great numbers, Chad, like 16 touchdown passes, 5 picks. Passer rating is very healthy, 3rd in the entire league. Completion percentage, a bit over 70. You take those numbers all day. But, man, I just don't trust him when it comes right down to it. I think he's a poor man's Jared Goff, right? Like Jared Goff facing pressure, completely different quarterback. That's what Sam Darnold is. I think he's a poor man's Goff.
No, it's a good point, and we saw last week with Minnesota. Like Jared Goff on platform, he'll kill you. But if you get him off platform, he just becomes an ordinary quarterback, and that's why I thought the Vikings did a very good job of that. But you were talking about people you can't trust. I got 2 names for you I'm out on, and I can no longer trust them. Tony Romo and Kirk Herbstreit. They drive me crazy, and I can't do it anymore with the NFL stuff, man, because Romo, and I know he's going to be on for the Chiefs-Bronco game next Sunday or a week from Sunday, so I got to mentally prepare for that. But it's like he's always like wigged out or cracked out or something because he's like, well, gee, I don't know, Jim. And it's like, dude, shut up. Stop talking over Jim Nantz. He's a national treasure, you moron. Gee, I don't know, Jim. He gets too excited. And then Herbstreit, he's like bashing Carson Wentz. And it's like, oh, then we find out after the game that the guy's like beat up with severe injury. And it's too much with the dogs and the crying. It's like, good, you got a dog. I love dogs too, but I don't talk about it all the time. I can't take it anymore. No, it's driving me crazy. Jeez.
That's awesome, man. I didn't know. Yeah. Oh, the dogs. Let me guess. A story about your dog, Kurt. Yeah, what happened?
Yeah, I know you love dogs. Okay, your dog died and you're crying about it. I'm sorry. We love pets, and I don't like to see them go, but too much. And then Romo's like, gee, I don't know, Jim. Like it's like, okay, good. You know what's coming. Good for you. Just shut up and let Jim do his thing.
Oh, man. That's who do you like? Who's the commentator that you are a big fan of?
Well, I think, obviously Joe Buck and Troy Aikman form a pretty good tandem for Monday Night Football. I think it was smart for ESPN to get them. Anything that Ian Eagle's doing, I'm in on. Ian Eagle is superb. And I feel bad for him because he got demoted because of Tom Brady, but I think Olsen does about as good of a job breaking down a game as anybody. And Mark Schlereth is always going to be covering Carolina for some reason, but I think Schlereth is a pretty darn good guy as well. But those are kind of my guys. And then the NFL guy who also does the NBA basketball, where he does up high and down low. Kevin Harlan, he's great.
Yeah,
Kevin Harlan's great. Yeah, but I love Nance. I love myself some Jim Nance. He's fabulous. And I love Al Michaels. Old Al Michaels, young Al Michaels, it doesn't matter. But I don't need people butchering up their call. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. You know what's funny is, and I know Gus Johnson is a play-by-play guy. Romo is the color analyst, right?
Yeah, yes.
But you could say, and I never would, and I don't think most people would, but Gus has that, that energy, that excitement.
Yeah.
And it's not Romo cracked out excitement. You know what I
Yes.
mean? It's more like cool excitement.
Yes.
I don't know how
And I
Romo
love him.
turns. Yeah, Romo
He and
turns
Klatt
into.
are great. Yeah, he and Klatt are great together.
They do an awesome job. I don't know if it's like the college vibe versus NFL. I don't know, but I get it with Romo in terms of maybe a little bit over the top, but I don't know. It's funny to me, man. I get a kick out of it. I don't know, Jim. I don't know what's going to go on.
It's too much. But there you have it. So I just had to get that off my chest. Brian Bino, Fox Sports Radio with us here on the Rip City Drive. So I know that you and I are big fans of clock integrity. So may we take a little commercial break, and then I can bring you back.
Absolutely, man. That
All right.
sounds great to me. Yeah.
I love it. Bino, talking ball. It's been a couple of weeks since I've chatted with him. I love it. So we'll come back and do more and focus in on more games here on the Rip City Drive. All right, Brian Bino, Fox Sports Radio is with us. We were able to air out some frustrations on broadcasters. He shared some insight on a couple of different games. What about this one here? Love it. Philadelphia, 6-2, in control of the NFC East. They're at Green Bay. This is a big-time game in the NFC with playoff implications because of the tie breaks. Right now, the Packers, a 2-point favorite at home against the Eagles. And, I feel the same about both these teams. I think they're both contenders, but yet both of them have not really hit their stride offensively yet. So what do you think about this matchup in the short number for Green Bay?
Yeah, right. It's sort of like a Broncos feel, where your Broncos are 8-2, and you're like, I don't feel great about it. If you look at the records, right? Philly 6-2, Packers 5-2-1. I know the tie is weird, but it's still a good record overall, right? In the thick of things at the top of the NFC North, right? So you would think you'd feel better about these teams than you do, but I get why you don't. I mean, goodness, you look at losing to the Panthers last week at home, getting smacked pretty good by the Panthers. Like, what was that, Green Bay? So, man, if you look at Green Bay, they've had a really strange year where they've been very ordinary week after week after week, and then all of a sudden they had a great second half on the road against the Steelers.
Yes.
And it was like, okay, all right, Green Bay. And it's like, nope, they lost to the Panthers. So they've been pretty disappointing. But at home, bounce back spot against an Eagles squad here, defending champs. It's a big opportunity for Green Bay. And, an NFC game, this is a big game for seeding potentially as well when the playoffs roll around. So, I mean, it would be typical NFL, wouldn't it? If the Packers, they look great in the second half against the Steelers. They win as a 3-point favorite. A lot of people liked Tomlin as a home dog, a couple of weeks ago. It didn't work out. So the Packers go from that to getting pretty soundly beaten by the Panthers. Couldn't stop the run at all, to then defeating the defending champion Eagles. It would make sense in the NFL world if that does happen.
Yeah, no question about it. Bino, Fox Sports Radio with us here. I got to ask you a question about, the rankings in college football because I never understand them, if I'm just being honest with you. Like, for example, your Notre Dame Fighting Irish, they're 6-2. They've won 6 straight. And if they win out, they're going to make the playoff. We know that at 10-2. Now, Miami has 2 losses. They have the same record at 6-2. And Notre Dame ranked 10th. Miami right now 8th. So explain this to me. These two teams played a game this year. Miami won. They both have the same record. So why is Notre Dame ranked 8 spots ahead of Miami?
Because they're Notre Dame, Chad. Like, come on, man. I get it. It's because of recency bias.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And because Miami just lost to a sucky team, that's the thing. Like, SMU, come on.
I love that description. They're sucky.
They are. They are like this. You
SMU
can't
is
lose
sucky.
to SMU, man.
No.
Sorry, you can't do that. And Miami just did, right? And they've lost, 2 of 3? That's the other thing is they've lost 2 of 3, and they get embarrassed at home by Louisville. Carson Beck throws 4 interceptions in that game, and then 2 weeks later they're losing at SMU, and Carson Beck throws an interception in that game to basically lose it. So the committee is looking at this and saying, all right, Notre Dame lost to Miami and Texas A&M. Texas A&M still a top 5 team, and comparing that to Louisville and SMU, right? Like, these are unranked teams. I think Louisville now, they are. Louisville's now ranked, but they weren't ranked at the time.
Yes.
So it helped springboard them beating Miami. But that's the thing is, okay, Notre Dame lost 2 of their first 2 games, right? Like, boom, boom. And Miami has lost 2 of the last 3 weeks. And that, just the timeline of that. I hate that it works out that way, but it absolutely matters. Even if all things are equal, if Miami lost to Louisville in their first game and SMU 2 weeks later, and then they beat Notre Dame, they beat South Florida, they smack around Florida, they beat Florida State, they're probably ranked higher right now than if Notre Dame lost the same 2 games each of the last 2 weeks. Right? So it's like when you lose matters a whole lot, too.
All right. You can bring some insight into this because you grew up in the area. But Indiana right now is second ranked, and they've been one of the best teams in football all season long. They've been dominant. They've probably got the best win in college football all year with the win at Oregon. I mean, it's just amazing to me. But they're mowing through competition. We now live in a day and age, Brian, where they're a 2-touchdown favorite at Penn State. Like, how bizarre is that for you, for someone that grew up close by, to see Indiana being a football power?
Yeah, it's wild, right? Because they were always a doormat.
Yes.
You know, if you were even in
Homecoming.
Yeah, if you're in a close game against IU, you're like, we got major problems over here. What is happening? Like, IU is brutal. And now what, Kurt Signetti has done, I mean, this is a machine that they've built up right there. He's turned it around completely. I'd have to go back and look. It's somewhere in my notes. I'm not going to be able to find it on the fly, but go back and look at IU's record the 3 years before Signetti got there. It was absurd. They were like 9-27 or something just absurd, It's like he's turned them completely around instantaneously. This isn't like year 4 and year 5 of the rebuild. This is year 1 and 2. He just got there, and they're number 2 in the country. They're just bulldozing teams. They're undefeated. He turned them around immediately, like on the fly. That, to me, is the most impressive part. It didn't take, all right, that first year, man, we sucked. Next year, we were still brutal, but a little bit better. Year 3, finally started to turn the corner. It's like, no, year 1, playoff team. Year 2, playoff team. Maybe the 1 seed. Who knows? So, yeah, it's just how quickly he's turned it around that's so impressive to me.
I just looked it up. In the previous 3 years, they went 2-10, 4-8, 3-9. And then next year, Signetti's got them in the playoff. That's impressive.
Yeah, 9-27, right? Like that's what they were in the 3 seasons before he got there. He took over a grease fire, and boom, look at him now. And you could say, hey man, well, transfer portal, he brought over some. Okay, fine, great. Did you call that shot? Were you like, oh, Signetti? Well, the transfer portal, he's going to be a playoff team in each of his first 2 years. Nobody had that.
No.
And he did it, man.
No, and I think what it shows with him, and maybe this is how a lot of coaches will need to operate now, but clearly Coach Signetti has a very good eye for the type of player that he needs to fit what he does, but then also to get those players in and coach them up and get them at a level that he has, because he doesn't have the resources or access to the same type of talent that Ohio State or some of these other schools does. So that tells me that the big change in Indiana was Signetti, which tells me that he's, primarily responsible for this. He's entirely responsible for it. Like, that's coaching your ass off right there.
It really is. And look, man, we'll see going forward. It's been spectacular so far. You look at his quarterback this year, Mendoza, he might be the first pick in the draft. He's going to be a top first-round pick.
He's been great.
And he's been great, but, you could go devil's advocate and say, well, when he doesn't have, a top 10 quarterback, then what is he? Okay, it's been the perfect storm for it to be great for IU, and he's got some dudes over there. But I still think that he can coach circles around a lot of dudes in college football right now. And even if the talent, it drops off a bit, I wouldn't expect the results to just all of a sudden be in the toilet. He's too good for that to happen.
All right, give me your what's your big bet this weekend? Give me the over/under on whoever it is or the game. Like, what are you looking at this weekend?
I've been waiting and waiting and waiting to fade BYU. This freaking team, Chad. I've detailed how they've screwed me over in a couple of bets this year.
Like Arizona?
The Arizona game was disgusting. Not kicking the extra point in the first quarter against Stanford.
Disgusting.
Messed up my first quarter bet. I've just been waiting and lurking. I'm a cat looking at like a little gecko. You're just like, yeah, all right, yeah, a little closer, and it's pounce time. So I think Texas Tech. I think that this is a stinky line, right, Chad? BYU is 8-0, and they're 10-point underdogs.
Stinky.
Completely stinky. So, yeah, I lay it, man. I say, is it guns up for Texas Tech? That's their thing, right?
I think so. I think it's guns up.
Yeah. Wreck them. I think they have both of those things. But I'm going Texas Tech. I think Red Raiders smack them around pretty good in that one.
Well, I would agree. And now I've got to give major props. I think Kalani Sitake is – I just respect him because I know he's a great coach. But what's been impressive to me is that, I've been watching them throughout the course of the year, and they've got this young quarterback, a freshman, Bachmeier. Mm-hmm. He's not a great thrower. He's primarily a runner. But what he's been able to do, like against Utah in the Holy War, he made some plays with his arm. He made some plays in the comeback over Arizona. They were down by 2 scores at Iowa State, and he was able to, help, manufacture some points to get back in the game. So I've been impressed with him. But I don't think that because of the way BYU is built, they need to get the lead and kind of hold on to it with their ball control. The problem is they're probably going to get down quickly on the road at Texas Tech, and they're going to be in trouble. And what I love about Texas Tech is that their defensive line is so good, they should be able to neutralize the running game with Bachmeier and force him into throwing situations.
Yep.
And that's where the turnovers will start to accumulate, and they should be able to roll after that, I would guess.
Yeah, that's the deal right there. That's the key is, BYU's, their running game has been really important to their success. LJ Martin has been fantastic. He's had some huge games. Bachmeier, what he brings to the running game, but Texas Tech, their front, man, you just can't just line up and punk them.
No, there's a lot of money that went into that front, baby.
That's right. That's right. It's money well spent, but I would expect BYU to have modest success running the football, and you're right, you're going to have to throw it with a guy that wears number 47 as a quarterback. Good luck with that. Matching points with Texas Tech, they're going to put up some points, left and right. One other thing I'll say, Chad, is keep your eye on TCU, because look at this. Iowa State, they've lost a safety, so they're now down 4 of their 5 opening day starters in the secondary. What does TCU like to do? They like to throw the ball all over the place with Josh Hoover. So if you look at the Horned Frogs wearing some sweet helmets this weekend, they're favored by 6.5. I just don't know how Iowa State matches points in that one.
I agree. And it could be a situation, too, with the injuries, and they're coming off back-to-back home losses to BYU and Arizona State, that maybe this could be the Iowa State game where they fall flat. I respect Campbell, but they've been very leaky on defense as well. And Josh Hoover, one of the better quarterbacks in college football, I like him, and they will spread you out, man. They can be tough, especially if he's got time to throw the football. But I like your call on Texas Tech. I think they're legit. Like they should, and again, the Big 12 is pretty crazy, but they should win the conference, and they've got a clear pathway to the Big 12 title game. The good thing about BYU now, because of the position they put themselves in, they can get whacked this weekend, but their remaining schedule is such to where they can still play their way into the Big 12 title game, and they could meet up with get a rematch with Tech in down in Dallas.
How about that? How about us just breaking down the Big 12
How about
here?
that?
Love that.
I watch, you know what it is that it's funny that you brought up BYU in that game, is that, and what'd you get the number at, 10 or 10.5?
10.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, the reason why is because I love Arizona State. I'm a big Kenny Dillingham fan. And so I watch too much football as it is, but I watch a lot of Big 12 football.
Yeah.
So, I'm fascinated by, the game tonight. Houston has been so good throughout the year. They got the big road win at Arizona State, but then they come home and give up 45 points to West Virginia, who was beat up with the injuries. And now they're on the road as a short favorite against UCF. That's kind of a scary game. And then you got the BYU-Texas Tech game, which is crazy. And Dillingham's doing a heck of a job without Levitt and Jordan Tyson getting his team to find ways to win games. So I just love all the different conferences and the style of play, but I think the Big 12 provides the most entertainment because most of the games are wide open and you get a lot of big scoring, usually.
I know it's a weird conference where it's one of these deals where pretty early on, okay, this is going to be a good pick.
Yes.
Or it's like, this is not going my way immediately. There's nothing you can do about it. So, yeah, it's just one of those leagues, man, where there's some wackiness that happens. But if you can predict the wackiness, man, you are sitting pretty.
All right, Bino, Fox Sports Radio. You can listen to him. Countdown to kickoff on Fox Sports Radio on Saturday and Sunday. He is the absolute man. Bino, it was great talking ball with you, brother.
Always great talking ball with you, Chad. And, you got to fix that offense over there with Denver. My gosh.
It's going to kill me. Hobo Nix is wasting one of the best defenses ever. It's like, come on, man. Come on, Sean, you're a genius. Why is your quarterback a hobo?
Yeah, we got to get that on track,
just
man.
So you know, the first image when you said Hobo Nix, I pictured Nix rolling into Mile High Stadium with one of those sticks and the bandana filled with some bread or whatever over his shoulder.
That's right. That's exactly. You need to make that. You need to Photoshop that. That's where he's at right now. Real fast before we go, Chad. I know you're up against it, but I saw something that was pretty funny. Here, let me get it real quick. It was just a meme with the Simpsons. It was Bart Simpson was saying, "This is the worst game of Bo Nix's career," and Homer he was like, "It's the worst game of Bo Nix's career so far." I thought it was funny.
By the way, I told you before the year, I was like, dude. I like the Blazers to go over. I think they're being undervalued in Vegas. And guess what? 5-3 with wins over the Warriors and the Thunder.
I've been watching. I bet it, Chad. I bet on the adjusted line too. I need I forget, over 38.5 as well. But I bet a few hundo on the Blazers.
I like it.
I took your advice. I'm watching all these games. I was like, how do you lose to the Lakers B team, Blazer? And then against OKC, that was beautiful.
It was. I love it, too, because right after you put in the play on the over for the Blazers for the season.
No Chauncey.
No Chauncey. And you're like, you've got to be kidding me.
I know. I'm like, goodness, last time I listened to Chad over here. No, they look really good, man. Just got a foul, went up 3. All right? Just got a foul, went up 3, but all is good right now.
Dude, it's so funny because that is the last thing you want on a team total going over for the season. And anytime the FBI is involved, that's a bad sign.
Oh, dude, it was literally after the first game. No Chauncey, no head coach. I'm like, what is happening right now? They look good, man. They defend. That's a feisty team. I like them. Fun watch.
Yeah, fun watch. No question about it. All right, brother, man. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy countdown to kickoff, and we'll talk next week.
All right, Chad. Enjoy the weekend, buddy. I'll see you.
Well, I love talking to Brian Noe. Love talking ball with him. I love his energy, and I'm very happy to hear him just healthy after suffering that stroke a couple of months ago. So it's great to hear Bino and talk ball with him. And I'm excited about this weekend. I can finally relax. You know, the Broncos get kind of a mini bye week playing on a Thursday night. So I don't have to worry about the Broncos this weekend, which is a good thing because that game was awful last night. So I can chill and just enjoy some football this weekend. And there are some good matchups both in the NFL and college. I would say in the NFL, the games I'm most interested in, ones that I definitely want to watch from start to finish. Patriots at Bucks, 10 a.m. on Sunday on CBS. Love that game. I like the Cardinals plus the 6.5 at Seattle. I think that's going to be a competitive game. So I'm going to watch that. Love the Rams 49ers at Fox. Brian likes the Rams minus 4.5. I like the 49ers plus the 4.5. I think the underdog 9-1 against the spread in the last 10 in the series. And then Steelers-Chargers on Sunday night, going to be a terrific game. And I'll be pulling for the Steelers because if the Chargers can take another L to give the Broncos even more cushion ahead of the Kansas City game, I mean, that's big time. And I'm loving that. I basically love everything right now because, the Broncos offense has got problems. And Bo Nix has got problems. But I would much rather my team have problems at 8-2 because those are things you can work out. And, if they get the offense going or moving in the right direction and they can solve some of the footwork with Bo and he and Sean can get on the same page, with that defense and the pass rush and the way that they play, they're going to be fine. They will be fine. So we'll see how things continue to shake out. So those are the games I'm looking forward to in the NFL. Well, I love talking to Brian Noe. Love talking ball with him. 12:30 on CBS. This is going to be a contrast to styles. And as I mentioned before, for Oregon, if they win the toss, take the ball and go down and get points up on the board. You've got to get an early lead. You do not want to play from behind against Iowa. And Iowa's going to try and muck it up. They want to possess the football. They want to run it. They want to be physical. And you don't want to play their style of game, especially on the road in that building. So this is a very good test for Oregon. Like Indiana, Iowa is a very physical football team. Now, Oregon's got the more dynamic players. They've got the better playmakers. They've got better speed. So you want to try and utilize your advantages and don't allow Iowa to win this game at the line of scrimmage. But looking forward to that. The latest line I saw, Ducks minus 6.5. Outside of that, LSU, Alabama, which is 4:30 on ABC. And Alabama, one of the best teams in the country, they would earn a bye in the playoff if it started today. But what I like about Bama is just the response after the opening season loss at Florida State. They went to Georgia, won. They came back home, beat Vandy, went on the road and beat Missouri. Back home, beat Tennessee, and won a tough road game at South Carolina. Like, that is a big-time response from the Crimson Tide. So, like, where they're at, LSU, of course, now looking for a new coach. They got tired of Brian Kelly. And the schedule, still some tough ones on there for Bama. LSU this weekend, they host Oklahoma, and they finish up the year at Auburn. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. All right, this weekend, tomorrow, you're going to get a lot of me, a double dose of Chad. The Blazers are going to be in Miami to kick off their 5-game road trip. They sit at 5-3. Tomorrow's game will tip at 5. I will have Blazer game day at 3. And then I'll take over with the Blazer pregame show on the network at 4 o'clock. And following the game tomorrow, I will be on fifth quarter. So I will react, take your phone calls, and we'll do everything that way. A big thanks to Brian Noe, and a big thanks to Justin Louder and the rest of his students down at Cascade High School for the takeover of the show. I had a lot of fun working with the students, and it was just fun to watch them get excited about doing something on air. So you guys have a good weekend. Enjoy the games, and Blazers will be in Miami tomorrow, and I'll have game day starting at 3 here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620.